Welcome back, students. So, in this video we will discuss types of forces. So, mainly we can divide it into two: contact force and non-contact forces. Contact force and non-contact forces. This contact force is again divided into two: muscular force and frictional force. And non-contact force is divided into three, that is gravitational force, magnetic force and electrostatic force. So, that is page number 134 in your textbook. Okay, page number 134 in your textbook, contact forces. So, some force acts on object only when they are in contact with an object. Some forces will act on an object only if they are in contact with a body. That type of forces are known as contact forces. Okay. That type of forces are known as contact forces. There should be a contact between the two objects. Then only the force will be there. Okay. Suppose I am holding a pen. I am lifting a pen. Okay. So, this pen is in contact with my body and I am applying the force. Okay. I am applying the force on this object. So, I am using my muscular force to hold this pen or lift this pen, all those things. So, that is a contact force. So, the contact force is divided into two: muscular force and frictional force. So, muscular force: when you lift your school bag, when you kick a football, you are applying a force. Lifting your school bag, you are applying a force with the help of your muscles. You are kicking the football, you are applying a force with the help of the muscles. So, this force is exerted by the muscles of our body and is known as muscular force. And is known as muscular force. A horse uses muscular force to pull a cart. Your blood gets pushed into your arteries by the muscular force exerted by your heart. Your blood or our blood will get pushed into the arteries by the muscular force exerted by our heart. So, the force exerted by the muscles of our body, that is known as muscular force, that is a contact force. Next one is a frictional force. Frictional force. What will happen when you stop paddling a cycle? Whether it will stop at the same time? No. Isn't it? It will move a little and it will stop. Okay. So, what happens when you stop paddling a bicycle? It slows down and stops after some time. It will slow down and stops after some time. In the same way, if you kick a ball, it will move. After some time, the speed will decrease and the ball will come to rest, or the ball will stop. Isn't it? So, that is due to friction. That is due to friction. Friction is a force that slows down the moving object or prevents it from moving. So, friction is a contact force that slows down moving objects or prevents it from moving. So, friction arises due to contact between two surfaces. That is a contact force. So, you will study this frictional force in detail in the next chapter. Okay. So, contact force means some forces act on objects only when they are in contact with our body. That is known as contact force. Two types of contact force is there. One is muscular force and the other one is frictional force. Next category is non-contact force. Non-contact force. Some forces also act on objects which are not in contact. Some forces act on objects which are not in contact. So, that type of forces are known as non-contact forces. Example, gravitational force, electrostatic force, magnetic force. So, first we will discuss about magnetic force. Magnetic force. You know magnets, magnets will attract iron objects, isn't it? Nail, all those things. It will attract iron objects. The same magnet will exert a force on another magnet. The same magnet will exert a force on another magnet. Actually, these two things are not in contact. These two magnets are not at contact. Okay, they are placed apart, not together. They are placed apart. But still, one magnet can exert a force on another magnet. So, that is known as magnetic force. That is known as magnetic force. Then, like poles will repel. Unlike poles will attract. Non-contact force. First one is that's a general description about non-contact force. Force due to without interaction between two objects are called non-contact forces. Example, a magnet can pull an iron nail from a distance. Gravitational force, electrostatic force, then magnetic force are examples of non-contact force. Then a magnet can exert force on another magnet without being in contact with it. Without being in contact with it, a magnet can exert a force on another magnet. At the same time, a magnet will exert a force on iron objects. That's known as magnetic force. Then, like poles repel, unlike poles attract. Means, what will happen when you keep north and north together? This one is a north pole, this one is a north pole. Like poles, definitely it will repel. It will move away. Okay, repulsion. It will move away. Now, what will happen when you keep north pole and south pole? It will attract or it will come closer. It will attract or it will come closer. So, that is magnetic force. Now, where we are using this magnetic force? Actually, a large magnet is being used to pick out scraps of iron from the garbage. It is using force to lift iron pieces. This force is called magnetic forces. Thus, two magnets attract or repel each other depending on which ends are facing each other. Like poles repel each other, whereas unlike poles attract each other. That's about magnetic force. Okay. Now, gravitational force. Next one is gravitational force. Gravitational force means it's a force of attraction between particles of the matter. Gravitational force is a force of attraction between the particles of matter. Every object exerts this force on every other object. Every object will exert a force or this force, gravitational force, on the other object. Suppose there is a force of gravitation between two benches in your class, two chairs in your class, between you and your friend. A gravitational force is there. Okay, but we can't feel it. We can't feel that gravitational force. The force that acts on you and all objects around you at all time is a force of gravity. Gravity is a force with which the earth pulls all objects towards it. Gravity is there. The earth will attract all objects towards the center with a force, and that force is known as a gravity. That force is known as a gravity. The gravitational force is there between every object in the universe. Between the sun and the moon, there is a force of attraction. There is a force of attraction between the sun and the moon, between the sun and the stars, between the two objects in the universe. That's gravitational force. The earth will attract all the objects towards the center with a force that is known as gravity. Because of this gravity, when you hold an object at a height and when you release this object. Now, when I am holding it, I am using my muscular force. To hold this pen, I am using my muscular force. When I release this object, directly it will go down. Directly that object will come to the earth or to the ground. That's because of the gravity of the earth. That's because of the gravity of the earth, or gravitational force of the earth. Means the earth will attract this object towards the center. Okay, that's gravitational force. You will study in detail about this gravitational force or gravitation in class 9. Okay. Next one is electrostatic force. We discussed about magnetic force. The same way electrostatic force is there. That's when a charged object exerts a force on another charged or uncharged object is called electrostatic forces. Two types of charges are there, positive charge and negative charge. So, when positive and positive comes together, what will happen? Yeah, like charges will repel. Like charges will repel. Unlike charges will attract. Unlike charges will attract. Positive and negative will attract. When positive and positive comes together, it will repel. Now, I will tell a small activity for you. Okay, take a comb or a plastic scale and rub it on your dry hair. Rub it on your dry hair and bring that scale to a small piece of paper. Small pieces of paper. Bring that scale which you have rubbed on your dry hair, bring it to near a small pieces of paper. That paper will get attracted to the scale. That paper will get attracted to the scale. It's because of the electrostatic force. It's because of the electrostatic force. So, when you rub the comb or the plastic hair scale in your hair, that comb or that scale will get charged. That will get charged. And that electrostatic charge can exert a force, and that force is known as the electrostatic force. That's known as electrostatic force. Because of this force, small pieces of paper gets moved towards a scale. Moves towards a scale. Just like magnetic force, this force will act from a distance. Just like the magnetic force, this force also acts from a distance. Because this paper, small pieces of paper and the scale, they are not in contact at all. When you bring it very close to them, this paper will get attracted to the scale. Okay, this paper will get attracted to the scale. So, the scale is already charged by rubbing. Okay, so the scale will exert a force, or this charges on the scale will exert a force on this paper, and that paper will get attracted towards a scale. Okay, so that is known as electrostatic force. Okay, electrostatic force. So, mainly we can divide force into two, contact force and non-contact force. Contact force is divided into two, muscular force and frictional force. Non-contact force is divided into three, that is gravitational force, magnetic force and electrostatic force. Okay, that is given in your textbook, page number 133, 134, 135 and 136. 136. Thank you.